I'd always been drawn to the forbidden and the unknown. As an urban explorer, I'd investigated countless abandoned buildings, but none as ominous as the isolated research station. The station loomed before me, its towering structure shrouded in an unsettling mist. I trudged through the knee-deep snow, my heart racing with anticipation. The entrance doors hung crookedly on their hinges, as if something had forced its way out. I stepped inside, my voice echoing off the walls as I called out into the darkness. The only response was the creaking of the old building, which seemed to groan under the weight of its own secrets. I began to explore, my footsteps echoing through the deserted corridors. I stumbled upon a logbook belonging to one of the researchers. As I flipped through the pages, I discovered that they'd been conducting twisted experiments, pushing the boundaries of human sanity. But something had gone catastrophically wrong. The logbook mentioned a subject that had been kept in one of the labs. I felt an eerie pull, drawing me deeper into the heart of the station. The lab was located at the end of a long, dimly lit corridor. As I approached the door, I heard a faint whispering in my ear. I pushed open the door, and a chill ran down my spine. The subject was a human being, but it had been transformed into something grotesque, a twisted amalgamation of flesh and machinery. I realized that the researchers had unleashed a horror beyond comprehension. As I turned to flee, the whispering grew louder, a cacophony of terror that seemed to come from all directions. I knew I had to escape, but the corridors seemed to shift and twist around me, leading me deeper into the heart of the station. I stumbled through the darkness, desperate to find a way out. The whispering grew louder still, until it became a deafening scream that seemed to consume me whole. And then everything went black. I slowly came to, my head throbbing with pain. I was lying on the floor, my camera still clutched in my hand. As I struggled to my feet, I realized that I was back in the entrance hall. But something was different. The doors were now closed, and I could have sworn I heard the sound of locks clicking into place. I frantically searched for a way out, but every door I tried led only to more corridors and rooms. I was trapped. The whispering had stopped, replaced by an oppressive silence that seemed to weigh upon me. As I explored the station, I stumbled upon a hidden room deep in the basement. Inside, I found a series of cryptic messages scrawled on the walls. They spoke of an ancient evil, one that had been awakened by the researchers' experiments. I realized that I had to get out of the station, and fast. But as I turned to leave, I heard the sound of footsteps echoing through the corridors. They were heavy, deliberate footsteps, and they were coming closer. I sprinted through the corridors, desperate to find a way out. But the footsteps kept pace with me, always staying just out of sight. I could feel a malevolent presence closing in around me. Suddenly, the lights flickered and died. I was plunged into darkness. The only sound, the heavy breathing of something. I raised my camera, the flash illuminating the dark corridor. And that's when I saw it. A figure loomed before me, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. I froze in terror, unable to move or speak. The figure began to move closer, its presence filling the corridor. And then everything went black. I slowly regained consciousness, my head pounding with pain. I was lying on the floor, my camera still clutched in my hand. As I struggled to my feet, I realized that I was back in the entrance hall, but something was different. The doors were now open, and I could see a faint light coming from outside. I stumbled towards the doors, desperate to escape the station. As I emerged into the bright sunlight, I felt a sense of relief wash over me, but it was short-lived. As I looked back at the station, I saw the figure standing in the doorway. Its eyes were still glowing with an otherworldly light, and it was watching me with an unspeakable malevolence. I turned and ran, not stopping until I was back in my car, speeding away from the station. I didn't dare look back, fearing what I might see. As I drove, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I kept looking in the rearview mirror, expecting to see the figure's glowing eyes staring back at me. But as the miles flew by, the feeling began to fade. I started to breathe a sigh of relief. thinking that I had finally escaped the horror of the research station. And then I heard the whispering. It was soft at first, but it grew louder and more urgent. I knew that I wasn't alone in the car. I looked in the rearview mirror, and that's when I saw it. The figure was sitting in the back seat, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. I screamed, but my voice was drowned out by the sound of my own terror. The figure began to lean forward, its eyes fixed on me with an unspeakable malevolence. And then everything went black.